Hey everybody, and welcome to my kitchen. I have decided that, actually Kelsey kind of helped me decide, we needed to beef up my YouTube channel. You guys know I've been doing Tastefully Simple for a really long time, since 2003. But you may not see how often I actually use the product. So I want you to know and understand that I'm not just a salesperson. I'm not just out there trying to make a buck and sell this stuff to you guys. This is a product that I believe in and I use. I do use the recipes quite often, maybe not as much as I could be. We're kind of picking that up a little bit, but I do use probably at least one product, I would say almost every day, because the seasonings are my go-to. Out of all the products that Tastefully Simple carries, the seasonings are my favorite. And we might pan over later on and show you the spice rack, but we are loaded up on Tastefully Simple spices. I use them all the time. So even if I'm not following an actual Tastefully Simple recipe, I'm using at least one spice, if not more, in my everyday cooking. So we did want to go into showing you some meals. This is going to be a really basic one because it's crock pot cooking. Kelsey and I have gotten really good. One of the upsides to this whole pandemic has been having her home. And we have been doing a lot. We've been really good about meal planning every single week. We sit down on Thursday or Friday and we plan out the meals from Sunday to Saturday of the following week, and we go do our grocery shopping based on that. And we definitely try to incorporate at least 2, maybe sometimes 3 or 4 Tastefully Simple recipes into that week. And again, even if we're not using a recipe, we're grabbing the spices to use in other recipes that we're using. So we're going to try and film some of these over the next week or so and moving forward, so that we can show you how often we are using it at home and some great ideas. To know what happens for a lot of you is that you may get introduced to Tastefully Simple through a friend or at a party. You go to the party, you sample the food, and you buy it, but then you get it and you kind of forget, well, what did she say I'm supposed to do with it? So I want to make sure that you are aware of the recipe section that's on our website and how versatile these products are. I don't want you to get locked into, okay, well I ate the onion as a dip, and that's the only thing I can do with that. So not true. The products are all incredibly versatile. That's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on. We give you products that you can do a lot with, so that you're not just kind of locked into that, oh, this is only for this or this is only for this. So today, believe it or not, we are doing a crock pot meal. It is chicken enchilada soup. And you may be saying, Kim, it's 85 degrees and kind of humid out. Why are you doing soup? We are big soup eaters in this house. Kelsey and I more so than Dave, but he does like a good homemade soup too. This one being enchilada soup, he loves, because we are all huge Mexican food fans in this house. So pretty much anytime I put anything Mexican down, it's going to be a hit here in this house. And slow cooker, one of my favorite ways to cook. My top 3 are slow cooker, grilling, and one pot, one dish meals, not necessarily in that order. I love slow cooker meals during the summertime, grilling meals during the summer, because I'm not standing in front of a hot stove or have an oven on. So this was a go-to for me today. Another reason we're doing this one tonight as well, this is one of the days that Dave works a little bit later. For those of you who don't know, my husband is a car salesman, so it means weird hours. And there's several nights of the week that he's home rather late, which means we're having dinner rather late. Even if I end up eating a little bit before him, he's still eating late. So we try to, on those days, make meals that are a little bit lighter, so that we're not eating such a heavy meal at the end of the day and then going right to bed. So this chicken enchilada soup, great solution for all of those things. Cooking in the heat, late night dinner, just one nice light meal for tonight. Okay, so this again is the chicken enchilada soup, and it is going to highlight a couple of our spice blends, because again, I've really been thinking about that a lot this week. Kelsey and I kind of got to talking about it the other day. We made a great recipe the other night, the grilled steak with the roulade topping, and it used spinach and herb, which is not one I tend to use a lot, but it got us into a discussion about how a lot of folks do buy those seasoning blends and they only ever make dips out of them, and they don't realize how much they can really cook with them. So this is one of those recipes that has 2 of the spice blends in it, and that's where a lot of the flavor is going to come from. So being a crock pot meal, super easy. We did our mise en place a little while ago. Mise en place just means prep, basically. So we got everything ready. I cubed up the chicken. There was black beans that needed to be rinsed and drained. Opened the cans of fire roasted tomatoes. Opened the cans of enchilada sauce. Opened a bag of frozen corn. And then I've got my spice blends here. It does also call for cheddar cheese in there. And it calls for about 1.5 cups of it to go right into the soup. We're actually going to leave that out because Dave has become lactose intolerant a little bit over the years. And he's already had some meals this week that have kind of bothered him a little bit. So we're going to pull the cheese out of it because my assumption is really that the cheese is going into the cooking process to kind of thicken the soup. So we're going to leave it out of the cooking process. And Kelsey and I just put ours into our soup after it's cooked. And that way if Dave just wants to put a little sprinkle in his, it's going to be a more brothy soup instead of getting thicker, which is fine. A brothy soup is absolutely fine. Like I said, Kelsey and I can then adjust it accordingly in our own bowls. Okay. So basically, I'm just going to dump everything in, and I am actually doing a double batch. That is another thing that we do a lot of. We make double batches of a lot of recipes, especially ones that are favorites. We like to be able to have the leftovers, mainly so that we have lunches, so that we're not necessarily going out and buying lunch meat and things like that. When we do our grocery shopping, we really kind of do our grocery shopping based on the dinners that we plan. And we do plan for those dinners to make leftovers so that we're getting more than one meal out of them. Sometimes we have weeks where, there's just a ton of leftovers in the refrigerator, and one night will end up being smorgasbord night. And we just pull the leftovers out and everybody just kind of grabs what they want. But we do like to have those leftovers to have our lunches. So you see I dumped everything in but the spices, just stirring it up. And now we're going to add those spice blends in. Ooh, Okay, so it does call for onion, garlic. So the single batch recipe calls for 1.5 tablespoons of onion, so double that is going to be 3. You may have not seen this little trick before. This is one of my favorite little things about Tastefully Simple. This cap on all these spice blends holds 2 tablespoons. I need 3, so I just have to fill it up once, half fill it again, and if I go over half, not a big deal. And only a teaspoon of garlic, so I'm just going to kind of wing that as well. I might go about I would need 2 teaspoons for the double, so just went with a little bit, less than a half a cap there. So that's where a lot of the flavor is going to come from in this soup. Of course, it's coming from the fire roasted tomato and the enchilada sauce that's in there, and then that onion and garlic is going to give it a nice kick as well. The garlic, if you've not experienced that one, 1 teaspoon of this dry equals a clove of garlic. Great go-to to add garlic flavor to anything. Then you're not having to chop and peel garlic, which gets very sticky and messy. This you just grab off your spice shelf, and you can, if your pasta sauce or your pizza sauce needs a little bit more garlic, toss some of that in. Mashed potatoes, easiest garlic mashed potatoes ever. Onion. And this is second or third. Yeah, we go through this a lot. This one, rustic herb and citrus herb are our top 3 in this house. Onion we use in so much stuff. Onions, shallots, chives, leek, garlic. So there's a lot more going on in there than just a plain onion. Get recipes that call for like a whole onion or 2 onions or whatever. I will use that. I do love fresh onion. Kelsey and I love caramelized onions and stuff. But when it's, something like this that just needs a little bit of flavoring. I know Kelsey told me this morning she cannot make scrambled eggs without her onion. If I'm doing like a chicken salad or a tuna salad, because I'm the only one that eats it, I don't want to chop up a whole onion for 1 can of tuna. So that's what I'm going to grab this. As much as I love onion, don't like chopping them. Don't like the crying. Don't like the mess. Don't like all that stuff. So that's my go-to. So that is all we've got to do for that. Going to put the lid on. And it did have you doing it for 8 hours. I'm going to set mine to 6 because it is now 2 o'clock. So we're going to do the 6 hour. So it's a little bit higher. And we will come back when it's all said and done and show you what it looks like. We'll be able to top it with, like I said, we can add the cheese into it. We can top it with crumbled up tortilla chips. We've got some avocado here we can do. We've got green onions we can do. So we can really top it any way we want, sour cream. And that's it for today. Welcome back. So we are back to our finished product, our chicken tortilla soup that we've had going in the crock pot for the past 6 hours. And just as a reminder, it was enchilada sauce and fire roasted tomatoes and corn and cubed chicken.
Black beans.
And the Tastefully Simple onion, and garlic. The recipe again did call for shredded cheddar. We left that out so that would not be an issue for Dave. I've got it here as a topping instead. So we're going to go ahead and dish up a beautiful bowl of this. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little green onion in mine because I always like that. And I am definitely a cheese fan, so I'm going to add some of that to mine. And I think I will even do a little dollop, too big of a dollop, a little dollop of sour cream. And you got to have a squeeze of lime. Everything Mexican needs a squeeze of lime. Some fresh cilantro on the top would have been great. I would love to have had some avocado with it, and unfortunately I didn't have any. But yeah, you can do whatever toppings you want to put on there. Olives. I think I actually might, in a minute, crunch up some tortilla chips and put those on there too. But I wanted to give you a shot at what that looks like. And again, this was just kind of a dumping everything into the crock pot, letting it go. But it's those great Tastefully Simple spices that add so much flavor. So I'm going to do what every good chef does on a cooking show and give it a little bite here. Super hot. Got a little bit of a kick. Very tomatoey flavor from the enchilada sauce. The fire roasted tomatoes in there. The fire roasted tomatoes give it a little bit of a bite too. I love adding the cheese and sour cream because that does kind of temper out the kick. So if you feel like it's a little spicy for you, those are going to be ways to cool it down. Like I said, I'm definitely going to add the shredded or the crushed up tortillas because that'll help thicken it a little bit too. I tend to like creamier, thicker soups. I know Dave tends to like more brothy soups, so he's probably going to like it just the way that it is. But you've got your options as to how you want to finish it off. So that's one of the things I always love about Tastefully Simple recipes is the versatility and the way that you can play with them and make them your own. So we'll get the recipe link posted below the video here, so you can go right to that link and check it out. And that will put you into the recipe section of my website, so you'll be able to do searches for all kinds of other recipes. If you've not ever ventured onto the Tastefully Simple recipe link, it is a great tool. It's very easy to find things. There's over 4,000 recipes on there, which sounds really overwhelming, but it's got such a great search tool on there. You can select the product that you have. So if you bought dried tomato garlic pesto and now you don't have any idea what to do with it, you can select that product from the drop-down menu. There's a box where you can put a keyword in. I've got chicken, I've got ground beef, or whatever product, whatever food you want to work with. You can select that you want to make a main dish or a side dish or an appetizer. You can even select, I want to make it vegetarian, I want to do it on the grill, I want to do it in the oven, I want to do it in 30 minutes or less. So you can really narrow down your search for exactly what you're looking for. So I highly recommend you check that out. And let me know, what you guys think. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. Thanks so much.